Have you ever walked away from a conversation wondering if she felt the same thing you did, but convinced yourself it was nothing? That maybe you imagined the spark, the warmth, the subtle shift in her energy? If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. Every day, countless men miss the silent signs of a woman's interest, not because they're foolish or blind, but because no one ever taught them how to recognize what's not spoken out loud. And those missed moments, they build up. They create doubt. They keep you stuck in hesitation, watching life pass through the cracks of uncertainty. The truth is, women rarely say it directly. They don't always declare interest the way movies make it look. Instead, they communicate through energy, through presence, through gestures, so quiet most men never hear them. But they are real, and they are everywhere if you learn to see them. The problem is, most men were raised to chase obvious cues. Directness, clear answers. But connection, especially romantic connection, isn't always bold. Sometimes it's delicate. Sometimes it's hidden in a glance that lasts just a second longer, or a smile that says more than words ever could. And when you don't know how to read that language, you hesitate. You second-guess yourself. You walk away from something that could have changed everything. You've probably been told to be confident, to take the lead, to just go for it. But how are you supposed to do that when you're not sure what she's feeling? When one wrong move could embarrass you, humiliate you, or leave you looking like a fool, that's where awareness becomes power. When you understand the unspoken cues women give off when they're secretly attracted to you, you stop guessing. You stop fumbling through confusion. You start acting with clarity. And that clarity, it changes everything. It builds confidence, not from ego, but from evidence, from truth, from the ability to see what most never learn to notice. This isn't about mind games or manipulation. It's about emotional intelligence. It's about being the kind of man who pays attention, not just to words, but to presence, to space, to energy. Because women don't always say what they feel, but they almost always show it. And once you learn to see those gestures, once you train yourself to read the signs, your whole approach to connection transforms. You become grounded, calm, centered. You stop overthinking and start moving with purpose. No more missed chances. No more looking back and wondering what could have been. If you've ever felt stuck, unsure, or like love is some impossible puzzle, this is your moment. Stick with this till the end, and you'll walk away with the awareness that gives you a real advantage. Not to impress, not to chase, but to choose wisely, to respond with strength, to step into relationships with your eyes open and your confidence rooted in truth. This is where hesitation ends and clarity begins. Stay with it, because once you see the signs, you'll never miss them again. She doesn't always hide how she feels to confuse you. Sometimes she hides it to protect herself, because vulnerability isn't easy, especially for someone who's been hurt before. She might like you deeply, think about you often, even imagine a future, but still keep those feelings buried beneath silence. Why? Because putting her emotions out in the open means taking a risk. It means surrendering control. It means offering her heart to someone who may not catch it. And for many women, that risk feels too dangerous to take unless they're absolutely sure you feel the same way. That's why understanding her hidden signals matters. It's not about decoding a game, it's about creating safety. It's about recognizing her quiet courage and meeting it with strength, not ignorance. She's not playing hard to get. She's waiting to feel secure. She wants to know that if she steps forward, you won't back away. That if she shows you her heart, even in the smallest gestures, you'll respect it, protect it, and honor it. When a woman likes you but doesn't say it, it's often because she's already said it in every way she knows how, just not with words. You see it in her hesitation, in her nervous laughter, in the way she looks at you, then quickly looks away. She's trying to guard something fragile. Her feelings are real, but her fear is louder. Not because you've done something wrong, but because opening up has cost her before. So now she tests the waters. She offers you glimpses. She gives just enough for you to notice if you're paying attention. And if you're not, those moments vanish. You walk right past them thinking nothing happened. But she remembers. She noticed you didn't notice. And slowly she pulls back. This is where most men lose their chance. Not because they lacked charm or potential, but because they failed to see what was right in front of them. They were too distracted, too buried in doubt, too caught up in chasing bold signs to realize the strongest signals are the softest. If she leans in, if she stays close, if her energy shifts when you enter the room, those aren't coincidences, those are confessions. Silent, subtle, but powerful. And when you learn to read them, you stop needing reassurance. You become sure. You begin to feel the difference between politeness and interest, between friendliness and fascination. This is your edge. This is your advantage. Emotional awareness is power in a world addicted to surface-level confidence, because while others talk loud, guess often, and miss the truth, you move quietly with certainty. You don't chase attention, you attract trust. And the more you understand the why behind her silence, the more clearly you'll see the beauty in her unspoken words. She wants to be known. She wants to be seen. But only by someone strong enough to recognize her without needing her to say a single word. Be that man, the one who doesn't miss the moment. Her eyes reveal more than her words ever could. While her mouth may speak with caution, her gaze often forgets to lie. It lingers. It searches. It tries to look away, but always finds its way back to you. And in that look, raw, unfiltered, and unguarded, is a truth most men miss. When a woman likes you, her eyes don't just see you, they study you. They memorize the curve of your smile, the sound of your voice, the way you carry yourself when you're lost in thought. She watches, not to judge, but to understand, to feel closer without saying a word. That kind of attention isn't casual. It isn't passive. It's personal. It's deliberate, even when it's unconscious. When she looks at you and holds your gaze a second longer than she needs to, it means something. It's not about the glance. It's about the gravity behind it. It's the pull you feel, the sense that time slows for just a moment. That feeling isn't imagined. It's real. It's the result of attraction trying to hide in plain sight. And the more you learn to read it, the more confident you become, not because you're guessing, but because you're finally seeing what's always been there. Her eyes search for safety. They want to know if yours will meet hers without flinching, without breaking away in fear. Because when you hold her gaze, when you don't retreat, you're saying something powerful without speaking. You're saying, I see you, and I'm not afraid of this. That kind of presence calms her defenses. It dissolves her doubt. It invites her to show more. Because women don't open up to men who look away. They open up to men who stay. Eye contact is connection. Not the shallow kind built on appearances or clever lines, but the kind that reaches something deeper. It signals emotional strength, focus, integrity. And when a woman feels that from you, something inside her softens. She may still play it cool. She may still pretend it's nothing, but make no mistake, she noticed. And when a woman notices a man who truly sees her, she never forgets that feeling. But here's the truth most men overlook. The courage to hold eye contact isn't just about her. It's about you. It means you're not hiding. It means you're willing to be seen too. It's a silent agreement that says, I'm here, I'm grounded, I'm not playing games. And that kind of presence changes everything. Because when you stop avoiding connection, when you stop looking past the moment and start standing in it, you shift the energy. You create space for honesty, for attraction to grow without pressure, for something real to begin. If you've ever doubted your ability to connect, start with your eyes, not your words, not your moves. Just your gaze. Let it be strong. Let it be still. Let it speak what you're not ready to say. And watch how her silence begins to change. Not all smiles are the same. Some are polite, some are automatic. But there's a kind that doesn't just stretch the lips, it softens the entire face. It lingers. It lights up her eyes, warms her tone, and pauses time. That smile isn't for everyone. It's not a performance. It's not a reaction to a joke. It's a silent confession, hidden in plain sight. When a woman secretly likes you, her smile will show it long before her words do. And if you're not present, you'll miss it. You'll miss the one moment where everything she feels flickers through her face like a spark trying to catch fire. You can't force that smile. You can't manufacture it. You can only invite it by being grounded, by being real, by giving her space to relax into herself. That's when it comes out, naturally, effortlessly. It doesn't mean she's ready to confess anything out loud, but it means you've touched something in her, something soft, something open. And that matters more than any compliment or scripted line ever could. Because that smile is a mirror. It reflects back the energy you've brought into the moment. If you've shown up calm, clear, and honest, she'll feel safe. And when a woman feels safe, her guard drops. That's when she smiles with her soul, not just her face. You need to learn the difference between a smile meant for everyone and a smile meant just for you. One fades quickly, the other stays, even when the conversation changes. It's the kind that returns after eye contact, that reappears when you're about to walk away. It's the one she tries to hide but can't. it betrays her. And if you pay attention, it tells you more than words ever could. That smile is proof of something alive, something growing beneath the surface. But too often, men overlook it. They downplay it. They think she's just being nice. And they miss the moment. They miss the window where attraction was trying to reveal itself. Don't be one of them. Don't write it off as nothing. Instead, hold it, receive it. Let it fuel your awareness, not your ego. Because when you recognize that kind of smile for what it is, you're not just seeing her, you're understanding her. You're catching a glimpse of how she sees you. This is about emotional precision, the ability to read energy, not just words. When you develop that awareness, you unlock a level of connection most men never reach. You stop waiting for permission, you stop needing validation, you move forward with quiet confidence. Because now you're no longer guessing, you're observing. You're listening with your eyes, feeling with your presence, and responding with intention. When she smiles just for you, don't question it, don't overthink it. Just know you've stepped into the rare space where interest meets courage. Hold that space with strength. And let her see that the man in front of her doesn't need to be told what's already been shown. The body never lies. While the mind may hesitate and the mouth may filter what's said, the body speaks in a language beyond control. When a woman is drawn to you, her body shifts toward you like a compass finding north. Her feet angle in your direction. Her torso leans in when you speak. Her posture softens, relaxes, opens. These are not accidents. These are instincts, subtle signals her body sends before she even realizes it. And if you're tuned in, you'll feel the difference. You'll sense that she's not just physically present, she's energetically connected. Her attention isn't scattered. It's focused on you. Most men never notice it. They're too caught up in their own nerves, their own doubts. They obsess over what to say instead of what to see. But awareness begins with presence. The moment you quiet the noise in your head and begin observing what's in front of you, everything changes. You stop waiting for obvious signs and start picking up on the ones that truly matter. When she doesn't turn away during conversation, when her knees are pointed towards you in a crowded room, when her arms remain uncrossed and relaxed in your presence, these are messages, unspoken but deeply real. This is how attraction communicates before words ever enter the room, through space, through proximity, through unconscious alignment. Her body orients toward what it wants. And when you start noticing those shifts, you no longer move from desperation or hope. You move from truth. You move from reality. You become a man who responds to energy, not fantasy. That's power. Because now you're not trying to force connection. You're recognizing it. You're validating what's already there. But it's not just about how she positions herself. It's about how she stays. If she doesn't look for an exit, if she lingers after the moment ends, if she seems to be in no rush to leave your presence, understand what that means. People don't linger where they don't feel drawn. When she remains, when her body doesn't pull away, even when the conversation could end, it's not by chance. It's choice. Quiet, deliberate choice. That choice is a reflection of emotional safety. And emotional safety is the foundation of attraction that lasts. So don't ignore the signals just because they're silent. Don't wait for dramatic gestures to validate your worth. Let her posture tell the story. Let her nearness reveal the truth. Because what you'll see is that you don't need to chase approval. You just need to recognize presence. Respond to it. Honor it. Move with confidence, not because you've been told she likes you, but because you've observed it with your own eyes, with your own calm, steady attention. Attraction lives in the quietest places. Learn to hear what her body is already saying. And when you do, you'll stop asking for clarity, because you'll finally be seeing the answer standing right in front of you. Touch is never meaningless, especially when it comes from someone who's holding back words but can't hide how they feel. When a woman finds subtle ways to touch you, light, brief, seemingly accidental, it's rarely just a coincidence. It's a test. It's a window. It's her trying to feel closer without risking too much. A brush on the arm, a pat on the back, a tap on the shoulder, small gestures that hold massive weight. Because she doesn't need to touch everyone. She chooses to touch you. And in that moment, everything shifts if you're paying attention. Most people assume physical touch is reserved for intimacy, but what they miss is how touch often comes before the relationship. Quiet, cautious, and full of potential. It's the body reaching out where the heart isn't yet ready to speak. When she finds reasons to be close, when her hand lingers just long enough to be felt but not questioned, she's not being careless, she's being careful. She's hoping you'll notice, hoping you'll feel it too, and hoping, most of all, that you won't pull away. Touch is one of the most primal forms of communication. It bypasses the logical mind. It's how humans have connected since the beginning. And in a world so dominated by screens, words, and masks, physical touch becomes sacred. It's bold in its simplicity. It's vulnerable in its intention. When a woman allows herself to initiate even the smallest moment of contact, she's inviting you into her space. That's not small. That's not neutral. That's a sign of trust, a sign of interest, a sign that her boundaries are making room for you. But here's what separates those who recognize the sign from those who miss it: stillness, awareness, respect. When you're desperate for attention, you'll overlook it. When you're grounded in self-worth, you'll feel it immediately. You won't rush it. You won't take it for granted. You'll meet it with quiet certainty and presence because you know that connection isn't loud. It's not always obvious. It reveals itself in whispers, not shouts. So the next time her hand grazes yours, or her fingers linger as she hands you something, or she casually leans in just a little too close, don't brush it off. Don't analyze it to death. Just feel it. Feel the energy behind the gesture. Feel the intentionality behind the casual. And let that awareness build your confidence, not inflate your ego. You don't need her to say it. You don't need her to spell it out. The message has already been sent. The question is, are you strong enough to receive it? This is how you separate yourself. Not through bravado, not through trying to impress, but by becoming the kind of man who notices the softest signs, respects them, and knows how to move with clarity when others are still stuck in doubt. That kind of presence doesn't chase attraction. It draws it in, effortlessly, silently, powerfully. When a woman begins to ask deeper questions about your life, it's not just curiosity, it's emotional investment. She's not making small talk. She's trying to see the man behind the surface, not the image, not the role you play, but the person you are when you drop the mask. That shift in conversation, from casual to personal, from facts to feelings, is one of the clearest signs of hidden affection. She's trying to connect, to understand what drives you, what shaped you, what you believe in when no one's watching. That's not random. That's desire taking the shape of interest. People don't go deep with those they don't care about. They don't remember the details. They don't ask about your childhood, your fears, your hopes for the future. But when she cares, she listens differently. She follows up. She remembers things you barely remember saying. That's how you know her attention is not divided. It's focused, intentional. She wants to build something that feels real. And that kind of effort means more than any compliment or flirtatious gesture ever could. Men often miss this because they're trained to focus on the physical. But the real sign of emotional interest is in the way she wants to understand what makes you you. She's not just there for the moment. She's exploring your mind, your values, your view of the world. And the more she asks, the more she's opening the door for a deeper connection. She's signaling that you're not just someone she enjoys being around. You're someone she could trust, someone she could let in. When a woman makes space for your truth, you're being offered something rare. That space is sacred. It's where respect is born, where intimacy begins before a single touch. And if you're emotionally aware, you'll recognize how powerful that invitation really is. You won't brush it off. You won't give short answers. You'll meet her effort with presence, with honesty, with strength. Because you're not performing, you're showing up fully, authentically, without fear of being seen. And here's what makes that moment even more powerful. When you let her in, even just a little, you give her permission to do the same. Vulnerability mirrors itself. Her questions are not tests, they're opportunities. To step into a space most people avoid. To build something that isn't shallow or temporary, but real. That kind of depth doesn't come around often. Most people stay at the surface their entire lives. But when a woman offers you depth, it's because she wants something more than a distraction. She wants a connection. So listen, not just with your ears, but with your intuition. Feel what her words are really saying. Because when a woman chooses to see your soul, you're already standing on ground most men never reach. And if you can stand in that space with clarity and strength, you won't just feel attraction, you'll feel alignment. And nothing is more powerful than that. When a woman begins to reflect you, it's not just mimicry, it's emotional resonance. Her energy syncs with yours. Her expressions, her gestures, even the rhythm of her words start to align with how you move, speak, and show up. This is not a game. This is biology. A natural mirroring that happens when trust begins to build. When interest deepens, when her guard lowers just enough to connect without fear, and it's one of the most powerful yet overlooked signals of genuine attraction. Because people only reflect what they feel safe around, what they admire, what they want to be closer to. She's not doing it on purpose. She's not aware of it most of the time. That's what makes it real. The unconscious imitation of your posture, your pace, your tone, it's the nervous system responding to the comfort you create. Her mirroring says, I feel safe here. It says, I want to meet you where you are. And in a world filled with shallow performances and guarded facades, that kind of subconscious connection is rare, precious, worth noticing. Because when someone mirrors you, they're not just paying attention, they're feeling you. They're resonating with who you are beneath the surface. Men who don't understand this miss the moment. They dismiss the subtle shifts as coincidence. But nothing about connection is accidental. The human mind doesn't copy what it's not drawn to. It doesn't imitate what it doesn't admire. So when her body begins to echo yours, when her laughter matches your timing, when her energy follows the rhythm you create, that's not random. That's rapport. And rapport is where attraction quietly takes root. But to see it, you must be still. You must be present. You must be grounded enough to observe what others overlook. That level of attention is rare, and it's powerful. It sets you apart, because while others chase loud signs, you catch the quiet truths. And the more you recognize those truths, the more confident you become. Not through arrogance, but through awareness. You move with calm assurance because you're no longer guessing. You're watching connection form in real time. This is how deep presence becomes your strength. When you stop trying to impress and start paying attention, everything shifts. You pick up on alignment that goes beyond words. You feel the bond forming, not through what's said, but through what's shown. And when you notice that, when you respond to it with grace and clarity, you allow the moment to grow. You create space for honesty to unfold, for mutual energy to rise. You don't need to chase when you can attract through understanding. You don't need to force when you can align through awareness. The man who sees what's unspoken becomes unforgettable because he touches a level most never reach, not through dominance, not through performance, but through presence. And when she begins to mirror that presence, it's because she's already chosen to meet you, right where you are. There's a moment when her voice changes, and if you're paying attention, you'll feel it. It becomes softer, slower, more intentional. Her tone shifts from formal to warm, from sharp to smooth, from distant to intimate. That shift is not random. It's not polite. It's instinctive. When a woman is drawn to you, her voice reflects her emotional state. And when she feels safe, intrigued, or connected, her voice mirrors that feeling. It relaxes, it opens, it invites. Not with words alone, but with sound, with rhythm, with tone that pulls you closer without demanding anything. That shift is one of the clearest indicators of emotional presence. Most men never hear it because they're too focused on what she says. But real connection isn't just in the content, it's in the delivery, the unspoken, the texture behind the words. When her voice loses its guarded edge and becomes something only you get to hear, that's intimacy in motion. That's her creating a moment that's meant for you. A private tone in a public world. And it's powerful, not because it's dramatic, but because it's subtle, because it's real, because it's vulnerable. You must learn to hear beyond the volume. Listen not for loudness, but for softness. Not for certainty, but for depth. A woman doesn't lower her voice around just anyone. She does it around someone she wants to feel more connected to, someone she wants to let in. That softening is her guard coming down, her walls shifting, her energy beginning to trust. When her voice wraps around your name like it means something, don't dismiss that. Don't write it off as friendly. That's not friendliness, that's affection finding its voice. When you recognize that shift, something awakens in you. You begin to see how connection is built, not through grand gestures, but through these quiet, emotional details. And the more you pick up on them, the more emotionally grounded you become. You stop operating from confusion. You stop needing signs to be bold or obvious. You move from a deeper understanding. You respond to tone, to feeling, to truth, not just to words. And in that awareness, you build trust without pressure. You allow attraction to grow without force. This is what separates a man who gets overlooked from a man who gets remembered. The one who hears her speak but doesn't truly listen never gets close. But the one who listens with depth, who hears the shift, who feels the meaning behind the melody, That's the man who stands out. That's the man who creates space where she can finally breathe, finally drop the performance, finally just be. Let her voice guide you, not the words, the energy. When it softens for you, she's already telling you more than she knows how to say. Don't ask for proof. Don't wait for permission. Just recognize it, receive it, and rise to meet the moment with the strength and stillness it deserves. When she starts to show up where you are, even when she doesn't need to, pay attention. That's not coincidence. That's intention wrapped in subtlety. A woman who likes you will find ways to be near you, to be present in your space, to cross paths in ways that seem casual on the surface but are deeply purposeful beneath. Her presence becomes more frequent, more consistent. Not by accident, but by desire. She wants to be close, to share moments, to create proximity without making it obvious. And that kind of effort speaks volumes when you're wise enough to notice. It's not always loud. She won't announce it. She won't explain it. She'll simply show up again and again. She'll take the long route just to pass by. She'll stay longer than she needs to. She'll offer help, make plans, or suggest things that keep her around you. Because physical nearness, even without words, builds emotional tension. It creates familiarity. It opens a door. She wants to be part of your world, even if it starts as a background presence. That consistency is a silent form of commitment, a way of saying, I want to be where you are, without risking rejection. Most men dismiss this. They don't recognize the courage it takes for a woman to keep showing up without guarantees. They're too focused on chasing the obvious to notice the quiet loyalty right in front of them. But presence is a form of pursuit. When she's consistently around, when she chooses to enter your orbit instead of staying distant, that's not just convenience, that's emotional investment disguised as routine. And if you're grounded enough, you'll feel the difference. This is where emotional intelligence becomes your greatest asset, not to analyze, but to sense, to feel the pattern, to recognize that her presence carries weight, even when she doesn't speak her intentions. You don't need to interrogate it. You don't need to second guess it. Just honor it, respect it, meet it with the same quiet certainty. Because when two people keep showing up in each other's space, something deeper begins to form, not through force, not through strategy, but through shared gravity. You become the man who no longer needs proof in the form of declarations. You recognize action over words, consistency over drama, effort over noise. And when you operate from that mindset, you stop missing the connection that's been building in front of you all along. You stop chasing and you start choosing with clarity. Let her presence mean something. Let it wake you up. Let it remind you that attention is not always loud and affection is not always spoken. Sometimes it simply arrives, again and again. And when it does, the man who's ready won't look away. He'll step into that space with strength, with purpose, with the quiet confidence of someone who sees the truth without needing it to scream. That's how you stop doubting. That's how you start leading. With your awareness, with your presence, with your power. When a woman starts remembering the little things you've said, the details most people forget, she's not just being polite, she's revealing where her attention is anchored. Her mind holds on to your words, not out of obligation, but out of care. She remembers because she listens with intention. She listens because she values your presence, and what she values, she doesn't let slip. It could be something small, a favorite food, a goal you mentioned in passing, a story you told once but never repeated. Yet she recalls it, not by force, but because she was fully there with you in that moment. That kind of memory is a reflection of depth. It's emotional focus disguised as casual conversation. She may not say much about it, but the way she brings it back up, the way she checks in, the way she references things that matter to you, those are signs, real ones. That's how emotional connection reveals itself without asking for attention. She's watching you, not to criticize, but to understand. She's learning you, because what a woman truly cares for, she studies. And what she studies, she invests in. When you see that pattern, recognize what it means. She's not doing it for everyone. She's not pouring her energy into every conversation. She's choosing to remember you. That means something. That's presence in action. And presence is the seed of emotional intimacy. Most people hear but don't listen. They respond but don't retain. But she's different. She holds on to what you say because she's building a picture of who you are, quietly, silently, carefully. And that picture is a reflection of affection growing beneath the surface. This is where most men underestimate their impact. They think they have to impress, to perform, to constantly entertain. But in reality, the things that move her are the moments when you were simply real, when you shared something honest, when you let your guard down for a second. That's what sticks. That's what she remembers. Not because it was flashy, but because it was true. And when she holds on to your truth, it's because she's drawn to it. It resonates. It means something to her, even if she never says it out loud. So if she recalls your words, reflect on what that reveals. She's not chasing validation. She's reflecting appreciation. She sees you. She hears you. She respects the man behind the words. And when a woman respects your inner world, not just your outer presence, she's offering you a deeper connection than most ever experience. Don't dismiss those moments. Don't overlook their meaning. Let them anchor you in truth. Let them build your confidence, not from ego, but from evidence. Because when she remembers your details, she's showing you something sacred. And the man who sees that doesn't just feel attractive. He becomes connected, present, grounded, ready. That kind of man doesn't ask for love. He earns it by paying attention just as deeply as it's being given. When a woman starts laughing more around you, even at things that aren't especially funny, it's not about the joke. It's about the feeling. Laughter isn't just a response to humor. It's a reflection of comfort, safety, openness. It's her way of showing that she enjoys your energy, that she feels free in your presence. And when she begins to laugh with ease, without effort, without hesitation, you're not just making her smile, you're making her feel. That feeling is where attraction begins to grow in silence, far beneath the surface of words. The human body doesn't fake comfort well. It reacts, it responds, and laughter is one of its purest reactions. It reveals how at ease she feels around you, how light her spirit becomes when you're near. It's not just about what you say, it's about who you are. Your presence either unlocks tension or triggers it. When she laughs more often with you than others, it's not because you're a comedian. It's because you've created space for her to let go, to breathe, to enjoy the moment without defenses. That space is rare, and most never realize when they've earned it. When she starts laughing even when nothing was said to be funny, that's not an accident. It's a signal. It means her guard is falling without fear. It means her nervous system is relaxing in your presence. She's not calculating her moves or filtering her reactions. She's simply responding to you. That's the raw beauty of it. She's allowing herself to feel joy near you without overthinking. That's not a game. That's trust. Many men overlook this because they expect attraction to look like seduction. But real connection looks like peace. It looks like lightness. It looks like laughter born from presence, not performance. When a woman laughs because your energy makes her feel safe and seen, she's showing you something deeper than words could express. She's revealing a part of herself that doesn't come out in forced conversation or strategic flirting. It only comes out when she feels something real. That's where you step into your strength, not by trying harder, but by simply being more aware. You don't need to amplify your jokes or perform for her attention. You need to honor the space you've already created. Let that laughter fuel your confidence. Let it remind you that presence is power, that who you are is enough when you're rooted in authenticity. If she's laughing more when she's around you, know this. It's not because of what you're saying. It's because of how you make her feel. That feeling is rare, and it's telling you everything you need to know. She doesn't need to confess anything out loud. Her joy already did. Now the question becomes, will you stay grounded enough to receive it? Or will you miss the beauty of a truth delivered in laughter, wrapped in lightness and carried by trust? The answer lies in your awareness, in your stillness, in your strength. When she starts to open up about her life in ways that reveal her vulnerability, it's not just conversation, it's trust in motion. It's a quiet confession disguised as casual sharing. She may mention past struggles, hidden fears, private dreams, or wounds that haven't fully healed, and she doesn't do that with just anyone. She does it when she feels emotionally safe. When she senses that the man in front of her won't use her honesty against her. When she believes that her truth won't be judged, mocked, or minimized. That kind of openness is not weakness. It's courage. And when she offers it, she's offering you access to her deeper self. You don't earn that access by force. You don't demand it. You don't rush it. You create the conditions for it by being grounded, present, and patient, by listening without trying to fix her, by holding space without interruption, by showing that you're strong enough to handle the truth of who she is, not just the version she shows the world. That's what she's looking for, not perfection, not performance, Presence, the kind that says, "You're safe here," the kind that allows her to breathe without pretending. Most men talk over these moments, they miss them. They're too eager to relate, too quick to respond. But what she needs is not reaction. She needs reception. She needs to feel that what she's saying matters, that she's not alone in her experience, that you're not just hearing her voice, but feeling her emotion. Because when she lets you see that side of her, it's her way of seeing if you can be trusted with more. Trust is the beginning of attraction that lasts. It's what separates connection from chemistry. Anyone can spark interest. Few can create safety. But the moment she feels emotionally held, not controlled, not convinced, just held, is the moment her affection begins to deepen. Because now, it's not just about attraction, it's about alignment. She sees that you're not like the rest, that you can handle depth, and that realization begins to shift everything in her. This is the point where real relationships are born, not from grand declarations, but from small truths shared in quiet moments, from emotional doors opening just enough to let someone in. And if you're emotionally aware, you'll walk through those doors with care. You'll honor what she reveals. You'll meet her softness with strength, not strategy. You don't need to impress her. You need to understand her. You need to see the woman behind the words, the heart behind the history, the strength behind the scars. And when you do, when you respond with grounded calm instead of nervous reaction, she'll feel it deeply, silently, powerfully. That's how trust grows. That's how love begins, in the space between her honesty and your presence, in the moments when nothing needs to be said because everything is already understood. When a woman starts defending you, even when she doesn't have to, she's not just protecting your name, she's revealing her loyalty. It may seem subtle. Maybe she supports your ideas when others dismiss them. Maybe she speaks up when someone jokes at your expense. Maybe she quietly redirects negativity that wasn't even directed at her. But behind those actions is something deeper than courtesy. It's a choice. A decision to stand beside you even when it would be easier to stay silent. That kind of response isn't random. It's instinctive. It's what people do when they feel emotionally invested. Most will only support others when it's safe, when there's something to gain. But when she defends you without being prompted, without any personal benefit, it's because she sees value in you that she's not willing to let others diminish. That's how protection shows up in attraction, not through possession, not through jealousy, but through loyalty in the smallest, most powerful moments. She's not trying to prove anything. She's showing you who she already is and how she already feels about you. You might not always hear it directly. Sometimes it's what she says when you're not in the room. Sometimes it's the way she reframes your words when others misunderstand you. Other times it's just a quick response in your favor, spoken with a tone that doesn't ask for attention. And that's what makes it real. It's not performance. It's protection. Quiet, natural, and rooted in care. This kind of energy is rare. In a world where so many pull away at the first sign of conflict, someone who steps forward to defend you is showing that your presence matters. Your voice matters. You matter. And not in a superficial way, in a way that says, "I've seen your value. I won't let it be dismissed." That's respect. That's alignment. That's the beginning of something built on more than attraction. It's built on emotional alliance. When you notice this, let it ground you, not in pride, but in gratitude. Because the woman who defends you when you're not around is giving you something priceless, trust without demand. She's not waiting for you to earn it. She's giving it because she feels it. That's not something to chase. That's something to honor, to respect, to reciprocate with integrity. This is where you rise into a deeper form of presence. Not just being the man who notices the signs, but the one who becomes worthy of them. When someone stands for you without being asked, you don't take that lightly. You don't exploit it. You meet it with strength. You protect it in return. Because now, you're not just witnessing affection, you're being called into leadership, into responsibility, into a connection where loyalty flows both ways. And when you answer that call, you don't just attract love. You become the foundation for it. There's a shift in energy when a woman starts prioritizing your happiness. When she begins to notice the things that make your life easier, better, or brighter, and acts on them without being asked. That's not just kindness. That's emotional investment. It might look like remembering your schedule, checking in on your well-being, making small adjustments just to support you. These actions aren't performed for attention. They're expressions of care that run deeper than words. She starts thinking about your comfort, your peace, your joy, because your presence matters to her. And what matters to her, she naturally nurtures. This isn't about grand gestures. It's about consistent thoughtfulness. The moments where she anticipates your needs before you even speak them. When she remembers what you like, what you avoid, what makes you feel more yourself. It could be in the way she offers help without hesitation, or how she changes her tone when she senses you're overwhelmed. These are signs of emotional intelligence fused with affection. Not because she's trying to win you over, but because she already values you. Because your happiness adds to hers. A woman doesn't pour into someone she doesn't care about. She doesn't go out of her way for someone who's temporary. When she chooses to prioritize you, it's a reflection of how seriously she sees you. It's her way of anchoring something more meaningful. She may not verbalize it. She may not even fully understand why she does it. But her actions speak truth. And that truth is one you can't fake, force, or fabricate. It's either there or it isn't. And when it is, it's unmistakable. Men often overlook this form of affection because they've been conditioned to look for intensity rather than intention. But real connection lives in intention, in the quiet acts of care that build trust over time, in the steady presence that doesn't need to prove anything, yet proves everything through consistency. She shows up for you not just when it's convenient, but when it counts. And when a woman chooses to be that steady, that attentive, that selfless, it means she sees a future in you, even if she hasn't said it yet. This is where your awareness becomes powerful. You stop chasing attention, and you start recognizing effort. You become the man who appreciates what's real, who values what's given from the heart, who doesn't take small gestures for granted, because he knows they come from a deep place. That presence, that emotional awareness, that ability to see her care before she speaks it, that's what earns you loyalty, not because you demand it, but because you deserve it. When someone begins to prioritize your peace, your growth, your presence, don't question it. Rise to it, respect it, respond with the same energy. Because love doesn't always announce itself with passion, sometimes it whispers through action. And the ones who hear those whispers are the ones who build something lasting, something rare, something real. When she begins to let her guard down around you, it's not weakness. It's proof of trust. It's her soul softening, her energy relaxing, her presence shifting from cautious to open. You'll notice it not in what she says, but in how she is. Her shoulders loosen. Her voice becomes more natural. She's no longer filtering every thought. She's not trying to be impressive. She's just allowing herself to be. That transformation isn't small. It's sacred. Because what you're witnessing isn't just comfort. It's vulnerability made visible. It's a quiet, powerful signal that says you make me feel safe enough to be real, and safety is everything. Attraction might spark through chemistry, but connection is built through security. A woman doesn't open up when she's unsure of your presence. She opens when she senses consistency, when she feels the solid ground beneath your words, when your energy doesn't fluctuate with her mood, when you remain calm when others would react. That stability creates space. And that space becomes the invitation she didn't know she was waiting for. To exhale, to stop performing, to finally let someone see the parts of her that few are ever allowed near. Most men are drawn to the surface, the confidence, the beauty, the charisma. But the man who can stay present when her walls start to come down is the one who sees what's truly rare. The subtle shift in posture, the glance that lingers a little longer, the silence she's no longer trying to fill. All of these are signs, not of disinterest, but of depth. Because the moment she no longer feels the need to protect herself from you, the real connection begins. That's when intimacy starts growing roots. This is where your strength becomes essential. Not the loud kind, but the calm, steady presence that makes her feel held without ever needing to be touched. You don't rush, you don't pry, you simply remain, attentive, grounded, emotionally available. That stillness speaks louder than any compliments ever could. It says, "You're safe here. You don't have to pretend. You don't have to perform. You're enough." And when she feels that, she lets go of the masks. She drops the armor. She lets you see her, the real her, the one she protects from the world. That's the moment most men miss because they're too busy searching for signs that scream. But emotional truth doesn't always shout. Sometimes it simply unfolds, quietly, gently, authentically. And the man who notices it is already different. He's already trusted more than the rest, not because he demanded anything, but because he offered something priceless, emotional safety. So when she softens, honor it. When she opens up, respect it. When she stops performing, meet her with presence. Because that space you've earned isn't just about affection, it's about alignment. It's about her seeing in you what she rarely finds in others. And when you carry that with humility and care, you don't just receive her trust, you become the reason she finally believed it was safe to give it. When a woman initiates contact, even in the smallest ways, it's never meaningless. It's deliberate, even if it looks casual. A quick message, a comment, a question she didn't need to ask, a reason to speak to you that didn't need to exist. It's not always bold, it's not always obvious, but it's real. She reaches out not because she has to, but because something in her wants to. That decision, no matter how subtle, speaks volumes. When a woman reaches first, she's breaking the silence to create connection. That's not just interaction, that's interest taking form. It's easy to miss when you're distracted by doubt, when you convince yourself she's just being polite, when you assume it's nothing. But connection isn't always loud. Sometimes it begins with a single line, a check-in, a shared link, a playful emoji. A moment she chose to begin rather than wait. And in that moment, she's showing you where her energy is flowing. People don't initiate with those they're indifferent to. They don't make time for someone they don't think about. When she reaches out first, it's because you're on her mind, and she wants to be on yours. This isn't about chasing. It's about reciprocating with strength. Not by flooding her with attention, but by responding with grounded presence. By recognizing that every initiation is a form of emotional risk. No matter how confident she may seem, there's always a part of her that wonders how you'll respond. Will you meet her halfway, or will you make her regret it? Your reaction tells her everything, so meet it with certainty, with clarity, with quiet power. Let her feel safe in reaching out again. Men who are unaware treat this lightly. They ignore the courage behind her efforts. But the man who understands what this truly means doesn't overlook it. He doesn't need fireworks to see connection forming. He sees the value in every sincere attempt to bridge the gap, and in doing so, he becomes magnetic, not because he's trying to impress, but because he understands how rare real interest is and treats it with care. The more aware you become, the more clearly you'll see her signals, and the more grounded you are, the more she'll trust that you won't misuse them. Attraction is a dance of mutual energy. One initiates, the other receives, one leads, the other follows.